conversations with the loquacious Mr. Duane, who would be me. And I am here with who I have decided to now refer to and forever after LLG. Hello, LLG.
Hello, Senator Duane.
I said
Hi,
before,
Tom.
who's Mr. Duane? Oh, you can call me Senator. So, Layla, who are you and how did you become a Democratic district leader? Because last time you were on the show, I was so impolite, I didn't ask you that stuff. Who the hell are you?
Well, my name is Layla Law-Gisiko. My maiden name is Demay. I was born in Paris, France in 1971.
You gave up that name, Domey. It's such a nice name.
I know, and my husband was hyphenated. There was no room for me,
Mm.
but it was a good decision. It was a good move.
I guess. I guess.
He's a keeper, and the name as
Apparently,
well.
I even got to meet him. There actually is a Mister. Anyway, and so you were not born here. You were born in France, and you
Yep.
came here when?
I came here 29 years ago.
Wow.
I came here with two duffel bags and the heart full of hopes and also full of fear.
Now, but we all want to move to France now. We all want to get out of town.
I know. But back then, people don't remember, but the economy in Europe and in France in particular was absolutely
Yes,
terrible.
the dollar was
Down
very
the
strong.
toilet.
The dollar was doing
The dollar
good.
was just killing
I even bought some Louis
us.
Vuitton wallets for Christmas
Yep.
gifts at the
Yep.
time.
Exactly. And no, it was really difficult. And I was really struggling. And I just made a big bet and gamble. And so here's how it went.
Yes,
I was a, by trade, I'm a journalist.
A very good journalist.
I started working in TV. Did an internship that led to a job, that led to another job. I was always a freelancer, always, running after the next gig, the next gig, the next gig. And at that time, and it was really hard. And I was, underemployed and certainly underpaid. And I was really struggling to get more gigs. And I thought that maybe if I were to become a correspondent and go somewhere else where I would not be competing with another 200 journalists who wanted the same job as I did, maybe it would be easier. So I went to my editor-in-chief and I said, I want to go to the US and I'm going to be your correspondent. Will you get me to work? And he was like, sure. I was like, okay, fantastic. So did a little bit of research and I came back and I said, okay, I need a letter from you so that I can get my journalist visa.
Yes.
I was like, okay, here's the letter. So he gives me the letter, make the appointment, go to the embassy, submit all my papers and my documents. And they tell me, okay, ma'am, come back in 2 weeks. So I come back in 2 weeks and I get back to the embassy and I say, hello, I am Layla Demay and I am here to pick up my visa.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, okay, ma'am, here's your passport with your visa.
Wow.
And I open the passport and I have a visa for 5 years. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. So I go back home, I call my mom and I say, Maman, I have a visa for 5 years and I'm moving to the US.
And how much money did you have saved up?
Nothing. So then I sold every single item I had in my apartment, everything.
Wow.
Sold my books. I sold my microwave. I sold my sofa.
You had your own apartment though in Paris.
I had my own apartment in
you should have
Paris.
hung on to it,
and I mean, the apartment was not mine. I was renting.
Does anybody?
I had the belongings inside.
It's like who owns apartments? No one owns apartments in Paris. It's like the Vatican.
Yeah,
anyway.
no, exactly. No. I had my own apartment in the sense that I didn't have a roommate, but all I had was the belongings in the apartment, which was crappy and IKEA style.
No, if it was from France, it was much.
Well,
it was
IKEA is IKEA. Even IKEA in France, I don't know. Maybe le IKEA français is better. I don't know. So I sold absolutely everything, and I was, it's like books are heavy. I mean, my big prized possessions were actually books.
Yes.
So I went to this bookstore on Boulevard Saint-Michel, Giberjeune, where they basically buy used books.
Like the
And
Strand here does the
I
same thing.
exactly. And then I sold, and in batches. Like it took me, I don't know, like 10 trips. Sold everything, everything, everything. I remember like the microwave and selling it to this old lady who was like, "Ah, it makes a weird sound." And it was like, just give me $10, just get out of my life. Sold everything. And I remember basically my savings were $3,000.
Wow. That's not even a month's rent.
So I found myself two big duffel bags, and I traveled on, I can't remember, it was like this airline that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, like low cost.
It was the wow of its day, the Icelandic Air cheap one of its day.
Which is terrible. But here I came, and then when I moved here, I thought I spoke good English, which was just a disaster.
Well,
I was, I would get in a taxi and I would say the address and they would drop me to the wrong place. I was like, why? Like, yeah, no, not good, not good. I realized that I spoke good English the first time I had an argument with a person on like a tech support.
yeah.
And this was just like, they're like, now you need to, like, now I know my rights. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah, I had a fight with
the first
Amazon Prime last night in the middle of the night. They kept hanging up on me. So my English is, I'm a native born English, and I still had a
and you're
hard
still
time.
trying. That makes me feel better.
Um, did you do bilingual journalism all along? Or
No, I didn't speak English when I came here, like for real.
Wow. And so, in addition, who was your boss from France?
So I was working for a French-German TV station called Arte, Arte. Still exists.
It's like Alsace-Lorraine. You never know whether it's owned by
exactly,
the Germans or the French.
Exactly. It was actually the brainchild of President Mitterrand and Helmut Kohl.
Oh,
It was created at the time of basically the European Union. And so I land in New York, and I'm like, okay, here I am, trying to make a living. So I call my editor in chief. I'm like, here I am, and I have like 10 stories to pitch. It's amazing. It's like, actually, we changed our mind. We really don't need you.
no. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was just epic.
But you're a resourceful gal.
Yeah. Well, I called absolutely everybody I knew. And I was like, okay, do you need any stories in the US? And, the truth is, it's such a powerful country, an interesting country, a trend-setting country that, of course, there was need. I just, needed to be very humble about.
Are you promising we're going to stay that way? Because I feel like we're going into the dark ages.
Well,
but,
maybe, but at the same time, the way the world relates to the country doesn't change. It is still, for the better or for the worse, it is still an incredibly powerful and significant country.
That's true.
And
although I do say I'm from New York, I never say I'm from the United States. If I'm myself, I say I'm from New York. New York. What is your Tunisian connection?
My mother is from Tunisia, so I'm an immigrant in New York. My mother was an immigrant in Paris. So, I come from this sort of like tradition. She left Tunisia when she was 25, the same age I left France to come here to the US. So there's a lot of parallels and yeah.
Yes. Our history of hideous colonialism in the United States, which is, Trump thinks we're still in the 15th century conquering, other lands, but Tunisia was a French colony.
Absolutely.
And not a happy one.
Absolutely. And, this is where my mother, a native Tunisian, Arab, Muslim, was born, under a colonial regime. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No wonder you're a good, solid Democrat here. Liberal Democrat.
Well, it's, what else? What else is there, right?
So you're writing. You met
So
A
no,
man?
I was actually documentary directing. I was very
Oh,
fortunate that because I really
because I think
became
if he was like a, I'm
I
making this hand signal of writing with my left hand, which I write with my right hand. But anyway, no, I always think if he was a writer
I became a writer. So when I came here, like the first decade was really dedicated to documentary directing,
and your
and
favorite topic.
I did some crazy, amazing stories. I did a story about the women of the Ku Klux Klan,
Wow.
and I'm very good at getting embedded with folks. Whether I like them or don't like them is totally irrelevant, but I'm really good at getting them to
Well,
tell
you're
me
a
their
get
story.
along gal in many ways.
And I did that. I spent a month with this absolutely horrid group of KKK members, and they were based in Indiana. And every year they did a road trip down to Jackson, Mississippi, and it was just and for some reason they agreed to let me come along and ride along. It was just like having such proximity to really you get to the core, like almost pure evil,
Yes.
was
I mean,
really like wow.
there's a history of the KKK in New York. Like Orange County was a hotbed of KKK,
Still
and the
is.
remnants
Still
are
is.
still,
Nassau, oh my
yeah.
god. Yep.
It's,
Still is.
I mean, people
Still
often
is.
forget that New York was the biggest slave trading state. Um, I want to see those. I hope you kept copies of all of your work.
I have copies, but they're in this weird tape format that was never converted and is probably
Betamax.
beta. Exactly, yeah, beta. But it was actually the French beta, so it was PAL beta. Yeah, no, it's like you
Well,
can't.
we'll find a way to get it converted because I'd like to see that stuff.
Yeah,
All right.
it was chilling. It was chilling. I remember when we and it was really interesting to see the cultural difference from the north to the south. When they did the cross burning in the south, and it was springtime, and there was like this really super strong smell of the magnolia trees. And there was something just so incredibly powerful, like it just like smacks you in the head, and the hatred it was really just crazy. And it was it very well accepted in the South, whereas in the North, uh, in Indiana,
It's a little bit more closeted.
it is. I mean, they basically got kicked out of a bar because they were spewing their hatred,
I don't know,
and
but
it was really like a little glimmer of hope.
I mean, they marched in Skokie, which is a Jewish suburb, predominantly with a lot of Holocaust survivors. So they are everywhere, and Trump is appealing to them.
Yeah.
And more recently, if he wasn't already doing it like deeply, he's embedded himself even more deeply in that stuff. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead. You came to politics, I mean, through politics, but really through issues.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm
So
very focused on issues.
the first big issue you threw yourself into, I think I know the answer, but go ahead. Go ahead. Go
well,
ahead.
no, the first big issue, maybe we can say, was Penn Station.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah. And what I like to do is read. Like read those like
You
super
do the
super
grunt work. I have to say,
hostile and
LLG,
boring.
she like reads the minutia. Like your attention is razor sharp, and most hours you sleep.
I don't.
Okay, well
That's the
there it is, and you don't watch any TV ever. No
never.
time for that
No.
because you really do read
No, I do
footnotes and
read, and
everything.
it's pathological. It's like if you leave a environmental impact statement or a budget on the table, I will bitch and moan, but I'll pick it up and I'll
Well,
read it.
this is not about what you're going to be when you grow up. But when I was on the city council, it was the first time in my life that actually there was like a cadre of staff, not just mine, but institutional, that could do it. Was an exponentially larger amount of reading, and they could do a question. And by the way, I don't think everybody used it. I loved staff. I mean, I really depended on them because I was being pulled all over the place, and they were They were great
Yeah.
staff.
Yeah, they're amazing. I mean, they're really amazing. The people at the city council that deal with budget and with land use, like par non,
Great,
par non.
and smart and willing to answer questions and don't mind answering the same question a couple of times if need be. So Penn Station, everything has changed though.
Yeah.
It's a whole new thing
Yeah.
now.
Well, I think it was really interesting, and it really informed the way I go about stuff.
We should probably say so. What was the plan when
Yeah.
you started?
Yeah. So
And you fought against it, and then things happened, and then there's something new to fight against.
so 2020, it's the pre-pandemic January, and Cuomo announces at an Abney breakfast that he has the magic
Association
solution.
for a Better New York.
Thank
Don't let the
you.
name fool you. No, they do some good work. They do.
And he has like this grand plan that he's going to fix Penn Station. And
He'd
the
already
grand
done
plan has
LaGuardia.
nothing to do with Penn Station itself, and
No.
only has to do with the blocks
High-rise
around
buildings
And
and
it's like-
demolition. Oh
it's
my
like
God, you are the
full
anti-demolition
demo.
queen.
Exactly. And like, full demo of like literally 10 city blocks around Penn Station.
Yes, perfectly fine
redevelopment
buildings.
and this whole complicated scheme that is like, oh, it's gonna cross support, and it's like, this makes no sense. This thing is going to sink billions of dollars of state funding, and it's going to make billions for a private developer. And we're
Right.
not even getting a nice station out of it. This
No,
is
we're not
just
getting. We're getting a glut of more
beyond
office space.
stupid. And so I started fighting it, and I was like, it makes no sense. Please explain. It's like, well, you're being difficult. I'm not difficult. Explain to me. If you can explain to me, I'll be.
And you were on
fine.
board 5, so at
I
least you
came
had
into
a
board
thing.
5,
I'm a member
chair-
of board 5.
Mhm.
Oh, you chair the committee.
chair of the land use committee, and then Cuomo is like, I don't want her on the community advisory committee. She's too difficult. She's out. And thank God, the chair of the board was absolutely amazing, Vicky Barbero, and Vicky is calling the governor's office
From Fashion Institute of Technology, and just a star, right?
a star, absolute, like
I want to move to Milan with her if I.
oh my God, she's the best, the best, the best, the
Yes.
best. And she's like, no, I mean, we decide who we're going to appoint. And
Right.
Cuomo is like, no, Layla is not getting in. So she fights and fights and fights. Eventually, we go to the press, and we get a good, big, fat story in the New York Post. And then they're like, okay, all right. So they agree that I'm going to be on. And from that point on, because they read, and I go through the stuff, and, I'm like challenging everything that they're saying, because they're just bullshitting.
It was all a lot of bonding that we would be on the hook for, and
It was crazy. It was like $7 billion that we're going to sink, to make Vornado rich.
I want to go way back to something, by the way. Before Hudson Yards, what really should have happened is Penn Station should have been put in the Farley post office, and Madison Square Garden could have been part of it, and that's not what happened. And then development would have happened in a much more organized, logical way, but that's not what happened. That's what happened was almost planning around that happening, right?
Yeah. I think that the disaster at Penn Station was twofold. The first one was the greed, and the second one was ego.
I don't even think
And
the
it was
Dolans
just-
were the bad people in that at all. They were.
Ego,
it's
ego
just they're
got
difficult. I know,
ego
but
got in the way for no particular reason. It's like, it had to be the way this particular dude wanted it to
Like
be.
the
And there
boys?
was like no room for, okay, let's be pragmatic. Let's figure out where is everybody's bottom line, and, look at the Venn diagram and look where it intersects, and then let's make it happen.
which, by the way, board 5, like board 4, it's like, okay, development's going to happen, but let's make a deal.
Exactly.
Let's improve it.
Exactly.
Which is what's so horrible about those propositions that went through on allegedly streamlining development. No, public involvement makes for better projects, and
Yep.
any steps that you skip, you're going to skip some very important things.
Yep.
So, for instance, not just particular to you, but particular to you, they don't have to pay any attention to what you say anymore. It's terrible, right? And we
know.
need people like you to read the minutia.
I know. No, I agree. I agree. And but what was interesting is that when I started the fight, people were telling me, "You're fighting Cuomo. You're dumb. You can't fight Cuomo. He'll win. It's a done deal."
And
And
look
I was
who's
like, you know
stand
what?
and look who's standing now. Okay, so now the plan is with our new governor has become
Well, fast forward, the new governor actually didn't do a super good job of, backtracking
no,
and whatever. She
she's
will
just
own up to
around
that.
the
It's.
edges.
But what happened eventually is that we were basically advocating that, this plan should be put in the hands of a very competent technocrat. And we had our dream person in mind. And his name is Andy Byford, and he was
Oh,
with the MTA. He left the MTA
yes.
because he was not, he was, not
He's smart,
getting
not
along
overly
because he was
political.
not treated right.
Right.
But he is a phenomenal public servant who really understands transportation and who also understands what it takes to get projects through the finish line.
Yes.
Because you need to have a little bit more of a willingness to negotiate. You can't just say, well, this one is crazy. I don't want to talk to her. It's like, no, sorry, I'm not crazy.
Everybody's at the table. Everybody gets listened to.
Exactly. And that's exactly so. Fast forward, we managed to kill the Cuomo plan. We managed to kill the Hochul plan. We managed to kill the Vornado plan. And now we managed to convince the powers that be that MTA, Amtrak, New Jersey Transit should not be in the lead because they're so at each other's throats that it's ridiculous. We needed a grown up in the room.
Right.
And eventually they were like, okay, or we'll bring Andy Byford. And that's exactly what happened. And today, Penn Station is on its nice, steady track to deliver exactly the improvements that we were hoping for. So sometimes, you know what? When everybody tells you can't be done, do it anyway.
Wait, where did you? What? That's what I always say. When they say no, don't listen to them because you know what? You're probably going to win. West Chelsea NYCHA buildings. I know a lot more now than the first time I spoke with you. And I have now realized that it's even worse than I thought when it was already bad. So, but the most recent thing, we're not going to go into how, Related is going to make billions of dollars of our tax dollars and put in their pocket. Let's just talk about the hiding of the environmental horror show that's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you don't
So
mind.
we just found out, we came across a report. I actually had to manually type the URL to get to it. That's
It's not
so-
highlighted.
and what this report says is that they did sampling of the soil, and the soil is highly contaminated.
Which actually says, because you were nice enough to send me the link.
Highly contaminated, 5 times the level of lead that is
Which they knew
deemed
about,
accessible.
but which they have denied. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead. Go ahead.
So now we are, we are putting together a webinar that is about to start in literally 1
And
minute.
I'm signing on to an addendum
And-
to the lawsuit because they hit. I mean, it was there,
Yeah.
and they.
Yeah. So what is concerning is that, having a contaminated site and mitigating and decontaminating is something that I think we know how to do. What is really concerning is that we had a meeting with the development team 3 weeks ago. They were in possession of this report, and we have them on tape saying that there's nothing there.
It's first of all, you don't want to disturb it. It's possible to kind of contain it, right?
It is contained. It's like, the
So-
pollution is there,
But you demolish
leave it
one
alone,
building,
and then you
and
excavate.
you release toxins, and not just to the people who live there. And by the way, there's senior centers in the 2 first buildings they're going to tear down, and it's not just there. So the people in West Chelsea, many of them rent stabilized. It's there are some people that have owned their houses for a long time. Lots of rent stabilized tenants. Hardworking. It's some pretty integrated. 17th Street, 18th Street. And then even the people on the High Line are going to be breathing in this stuff, right? I mean, if you don't care about the hardworking people, even if you don't care about rich people, are going to have to breathe in this.
How about the little children? There is an elementary school directly adjacent.
And by the way, and the
PS33.
North Village is going to be impacted. And it's beyond me that the people that own Chelsea Market are not up in arms about this, because it's going to be horrendous for them also. So that's the most important thing that I want to get to, which I should have gotten to sooner. But that is the thing. We'll talk more about that. There is a document that just talks about how horrible the contamination is. I mean, it should be a Superfund site. It's that bad. And it's something uncontained. It would take years and years and years. You can't just make believe that. By the way, contained is, everyone says, oh, the lead and the asbestos in the buildings, and allegedly it's been contained, it's been removed. Well, who knows? But still, it's all containable and removable. But this is it's a multi-year jobs program to clean that up. But they want to start building right away. They don't want to wait for that. So that's the crucial thing is Related and NYCHA, they got to poison us. Literally poison us. But for Layla, reading the small print, LLG, I don't know whether this would have all come to light. There wasn't even a whistleblower at NYCHA. But I bet there are people that would be willing to come forward, but we have to track them down. Anyway, I want to thank you very, very much for coming and doing this and for telling us more about you. And you've been an amazing leader.
Thank
and
you.
I'm talking about, yes, of course, political, but I mean on community stuff. And really, you said it all. They said, impossible, you can't stop it. And yet you said, no, let me try. I'm going to do it. And you did. Thank you. And the same is going to happen with this Related NYCHA disaster that's going to throw a lot of
Absolutely.
low-income people out of the housing. And Mayor Mondani, who I know is listening to this, why are you permitting low-income housing to be destroyed? It's like quicksand. You say you want to build low-income housing? Well, no. You cannot build fast enough to replace what's going to be destroyed in this project. So this has been, you don't say, conversations with the loquacious Mr. Duane. And I did say, but mostly Layla said. And thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Sam, and all of our sponsors. And we shall overcome. Thank you.
This has been You Don't Say, Conversations with the Loquacious Mr. Duane, featuring former New York State Senator Thomas Duane and former Professor Blake Newham Valenzuela. We are produced by Sound Small at PNT Network on Orchard Street. Associate producers are Neil Patrick Connolly, Angel Newham Valenzuela, and Charles Sanchez. Music by Notice. We are sponsored by Tom Duane Strategies and the Ghost of the Future, with the support of the Gay Officers Action League, a fraternal organization of the NYPD, Immigration Equality New York, and the Victory Fund, as well as our sister television media, The Recruiters, streaming worldwide on Manhattan Neighborhood Network.